they say all good things must come to an end, kind of like Florida's hopes of making the playoffs or our attempts to get Dr. Pepper to sponsor us. You know what else came to an end this past Saturday? Anyone's hope of there being a single Saturday this season with, like sleeper games. There was none of that to be had. University of South Florida went into the swamp and upset South Florida. You had Oklahoma just throttling Michigan when people were saying it was going to be a close game. Some people that were not us, thank you to the model. So if they ever try to tell you, sleepy week of college football up ahead, you can afford to go do whatever, go hang out with friends, go have a wedding. You don't have time for that, at least maybe not in this season of college football. Welcome back to 4th and Goal, everyone. So the first thing I want to talk about is that game, with Florida losing at home to a group of 5 team. Ugh! Can you believe it? It was not even a week ago. We were all saying Florida may have a shot to make the playoff. They may have a shot to compete for the SEC. Heck, they may have a shot to finally beat Georgia for the first time in who knows how long, since the COVID season, I think. Well, that's all out the window now. You can kiss all of that goodbye. They did look in this game exactly the same as they have in every season under Billy Napier. They were undisciplined. The offense was lethargic. They made crucial clock management mistakes in critical moments. And credit to South Florida, they didn't play a clean game, but they did the exact opposite of what Florida has failed to do for the past 3 or 4 years, and that's actually find a way to win. When the lights are shining bright, when the moment is really, really big, they found a way to win. They did, and South Florida ranked for the first time in who knows how long. They are looking like they could make a push for that 12th playoff spot. I know, Boise State made the 4th spot last year. There's not a group of 5 team this year that's going to make it to the top 4. There's just not, unless Alex Galish at South Florida proves me wrong. So, big congrats to South Florida. They look like a really good football team. That's 2 very good wins under the belt. They're probably going to get smacked by Miami this weekend, but still, great season already for the Bulls. Now, the Florida Gators, so you can't really get rid of Billy Napier mid-season because the roster seems bought into him. So if you want to try to preserve as much as you can of this season, you can't fire Billy just yet. Who are they going to replace him with once this season is over? That's what everyone's asking. That's a question I don't know if I have the answer to. Because, the Bama job might be open. The Clemson job might be open. No, I'm just kidding. They don't have the guts to fire Dabo. The LSU job could be open. Arkansas. There's plenty of big-name jobs around the country that Florida might have to compete for. Once the cycle is started with hiring new coaches, once the games are done playing, they've got their work cut out for them because what they have right now, it's not working, and it's not looking like it's going to work anytime soon. But hey, if you're a Dog fan, that's great news, right? Now for the Oklahoma-Michigan game, this felt like this year's version of the Tennessee-Oklahoma game, just a bit reversed if I'm being real. Last year it was a top 15 matchup, both teams looking like they might make a playoff push. It was Oklahoma's first season in the SEC. People were talking. They were talking about how is Nico Iamaleava going to handle Brent Venables' defense. And it turns out the real question they should have been asking was, how is Oklahoma going to handle Tennessee's defense? It was the opposite this time. You had Bryce Underwood going in, facing Oklahoma's defense, looked completely lost, probably because his receivers were all lost. He had no one to throw it to. Justice Haynes, their running back, had one big, long run. So that was just about all they were going to do. Crank off a big run here, there. That was all the scoring Michigan was going to do. Oklahoma, they didn't really have much of anything except for a quarterback. They had John Mateer. This is the first time, I want to say, probably since Caleb Williams a couple of years ago, since Oklahoma had a quarterback that they could just put the game on his shoulders and say, hey, we need you to win this for us. That's John Mateer, or at least that's John Mateer against Big Ten teams this year. We'll see how he fares in the SEC. But he had some brilliant, crazy good throws, some really clutch runs. Some questionable throws too, but when you got a quarterback like that and you have nothing else to turn to, you got to take the bad with the good, and that's what Oklahoma did. Right now, it seems like there's a lot more good than bad with Jean Mateer. Oklahoma it's kind of like what I talked about last week. Some of these teams getting their big wins. This is a great spring forward point for them. This is a great springboard for Oklahoma for the rest of the season because they have a tough schedule. But now they know they can beat tough opponents. Michigan, maybe they can't score this year, but they're still physical, and they're still going to play solid defense. And Oklahoma really should have won by a lot more than they did. So, great win for the Sooners. That's a great starting point for the rest of the season. Who knows what they're going to do? As for Michigan, they might win 8 games again. One of them is definitely going to be Ohio State, though. Ohio State just can't beat Michigan. Looking forward to this week's games. What do we got? We've got a primetime ACC matchup, or at least it should be a primetime ACC matchup. Clemson is going to Georgia Tech, and the Vegas spread on this is like, what, Clemson by 3 or 2.5, something like that? Who would have thought? Who would have thought that this might be one of the biggest games in the ACC this season? Georgia Tech is looking like they have the identity. They're going to pound the ball on offense. They're going to be physical on defense just like they were last year under Brent Key. Clemson, I don't really know what they're going to do. I mean, they look like they have a good defense against LSU and who was it, Troy? Ugh. Troy scored 16 points and a half. They didn't score again. That's still not great. This is a big moment for Georgia Tech. A lot of people are going to be talking about Clemson right here. I think this game is more about Georgia Tech. I think we know what Clemson is now. I think we know what they're going to be for the foreseeable future under Dabo Swinney. They have trotted out the same result since 2021, and I think they're going to continue to do that. Georgia Tech, they could trot out something different this year. Last year they had a gritted team, had some good wins, had some close losses to big-name teams like Georgia. Is this a team that's capable of taking the next step? Because their quarterback, Haynes King, who this game is going to be put on the shoulders of and all the other big games that Georgia Tech faces, he's a former blue chipper. He has the requisite talent level. Maybe he's not the greatest thrower in the world, but he can make some throws that other people can't. He can certainly do a lot with his legs that other people can't. I'm talking a lot about Georgia Tech here because the model has a very, very strong feel on Tech. It's picking Tech to blow Clemson out. I mean, look at that score. Look at what the model is saying that Georgia Tech's going to do to Clemson. Little old Georgia Tech, I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think I'm going to pick Georgia Tech here. I think Tech is a team that I can trust what they're going to put out on the field. I think I know what they're going to put out on the field. I don't know what Clemson's going to look like. They've already struggled, 2 games at home. Now they're going to go on the road, and Georgia Tech Stadium is going to be, excited about football for once. I don't know. I don't think that's a good recipe for words. I don't think that's a good recipe for success for Clemson's offense. I think Tech's going to win. I think it's going to be close, unlike what the model is saying. But still, that's going to be a big win for Tech, and hopefully they can pile up some more on top of that as the season goes on. Moving on to the SEC, we have Georgia versus Tennessee. This should be an SEC classic. 2 hard-nosed teams that pride themselves on being tough and mean at the lines of scrimmage. 2 teams who we really don't know what they are, really. We kind of don't. I mean, Tennessee eviscerated Syracuse, who some people thought was going to be pretty good, and then Syracuse had the gall to almost lose to UConn last week. And then Georgia, they flattened Marshall, and then they struggled against Austin Peay, an FCS team. We don't really know what these 2 teams are like. We know the identity that their coaches want them to have, but is that the identity that the teams actually have? This is very interesting because you have the more proven staff and roster in Georgia, but they're going into one of the most hostile environments in college football. Neyland Stadium is going to be rocking. They haven't beaten Georgia in, I think, 8 years. It has been a long time. That fan base is going to be loud. They're going to be rowdy. They're going to be throwing golf balls and mustard bottles to try to do anything to slow Georgia down. Will it succeed, though? Because while Tennessee looks like they found something on offense with Joey Aguilar, I'm a little concerned about their defense. They lost a lot of key pieces, and even though they did blow Syracuse out, Syracuse did have a little bit of success on offense. While Georgia didn't look amazing on offense last week, you have to wonder if they're holding stuff back, or they're holding back certain packages for Gunnar Stockton for his ability to run the ball. You know who doesn't think that? The model doesn't think that. The model's picking Tennessee by 6 points. Audacity. Can't believe it. I'm not doing that. I'm picking Georgia. I mean, Like I said, it's been 8 years since Tennessee's beaten Georgia, and I know Georgia looked bad last week. But that was last week. This is this week, and this is a week where Georgia has probably heard that they might not match up to Tennessee, that Tennessee has looked like the better team. You think Kirby Smart's not going to use that? I know he's going to use that, so I'm going to ride with Georgia, and I'm going to continue to ride with Georgia when picking them over Tennessee until Tennessee proves me otherwise. For our last game we're going to be predicting, you have Notre Dame hosting Texas 8-4. Two teams that have very similar philosophies about how they approach the sport of football. Both a little old school, rugged and mean in the lines of scrimmage. Both of them love running the ball. They both have excellent tailbacks. Notre Dame's running back, Jeremiah Love, probably the best running back in the country. Both these teams are looking for a statement win. Notre Dame is going to have a tough time arguing its way to the playoff if it loses this one. If they start out 0-2 to the two biggest teams on their schedule, barring some comeback by USC, the two biggest games on their schedule, not a great look for them. That's what happened to Miami last year, and they got shut out even though they went 10-2. Notre Dame could do that. They could drop this game and then win out. They could get shut out of the playoff. Texas 8-4. If they win this game, what does that mean about that program? Does that mean they finally turned a corner? That they finally won a big game and they are ready for the bigger and better things that they should have been able to do with all that oil money stocked up? What I'm really interested in, I know these offenses look very similar. I'm not quite sure if the defenses do. In fact, I think the defenses are opposite. Notre Dame, they kind of stifled Miami's running ability a little bit when they played. Carson Beck kind of had success throwing the ball on him a little bit, something we haven't seen from a Notre Dame defense in a while. On the other hand, Texas 8-4, their secondary has been pretty good, but they've allowed a lot of running yards. They have allowed other teams to run all over them. Stats info, you got the model pulled up for us?
Oh, well, yes, I got it pulled up, sir. Having no signs of self-awareness from the model today, it's decided to be kind of quiet for a change, which is much appreciated by me. So, looking over Notre Dame and Texas 8-4, I'm going to go ahead and put the score up for you, which I know we mentioned Texas 8-4 kind of just hate the wires that the model has been growing. So aggravating when I'm trying to look this stuff up. So I know that we mentioned that Texas 8-4 has had an issue with stopping the run. That's shown in some of these metrics. Texas 8-4 allowing 77.45% of an average opponent's rushing yardage. And I know that, at first glance, you'll be like, wow, that sounds good. They're actually allowing less than an opponent's average. Well, not so much, because the competition they've been playing has been absolute garbage, and this percentage is based on the average running yardage for a college football team, and they're playing below average teams and still allowing that much. Not a great look. But yet, the model is picking Texas 8-4 to, go into Notre Dame and win by 2 scores. I mean, it befuddles me, I'm not going to lie. What it's really looking at here is Notre Dame. A lot of their offense against Miami came from the passing game. Even though C.J. Carr had his struggles, he was still decently productive for him. And it's saying that it's going to knock out about 5.5 points worth of offense for them. Now, that still wouldn't be enough to measure up against Notre Dame. Excuse me, that wouldn't be enough to measure up against Texas 8-4, but what it is it's showing that Texas 8-4, despite their deficiencies with stopping the run, their secondary might be able to limit this Notre Dame offense in a way that they may not be accustomed to. And if Texas 8-4, I know their defense has been playing great against substandard competition, but if they can keep the offensive scoring up, they may be in a good position to win.
Normally, this is where I say that's all we've got for today, but it's not. This is going to hurt. I have been begging Dr. Pepper to sponsor me for about 5 years now. I've done everything from campaigning on social media. I've moved from Instagram to YouTube. I've worn their merch. I promoted their product. I've told the followers of this channel what is up with Dr. Pepper. That it was, at least I believe it is, but I'm going to say was because they're dead to me now, the greatest soda on the face of the earth. and they have repaid my loyalty with silence. Possibly one of the most toxic relationships you'll ever see. It's been horrible, but Dr. Pepper isn't the only brand that's associated with college football. I've looked at this, and I think it's time for this show to move on to bigger and better things, and to move on to chasing bigger and better sponsors, potential sponsors, I should say. In fact, I'd say that this sponsor that I'm looking into is crazy good. That's right. 4th and goal. Dr. Pepper is dead to us.
Crazy good!
Pop-Tarts show now. If you can't see it, Pop-Tarts. We love Pop-Tarts. I've been eating Pop-Tarts since I was a child. I have very vivid memories of getting ready for kindergarten, running out the door, still pulling my pants up while chewing on a Pop-Tart while I was trying to make it there because we were running really late. Pop-Tarts has been a part of my life as long as I can remember, and it's a big part of college football now. Have you not seen the Pop-Tart poll? I mean, that's the greatest piece of entertainment that you'll ever see. Ever. I mean, I consider it better than the national championship. It's better than any movie they put out, any show they put out. Pop-Tarts is the way to go. Pop-Tarts is crazy good. They've been by my side forever, and I know that they, unlike some certain soda brands which shall not be named, will not let me down. Okay, now that's everything that I've got. Have a great Saturday, and I hope that your team wins. Unless they're Auburn, in which case I hope they lose, even though they're playing South Alabama, so probably not. See you next week.